As we move into 2023, we find ourselves in very, very strange times here in the South Florida housing market. Now, sellers still think it's a very strong seller's market, and buyers think that they hold all the cards and the market is crashing all around us. So no matter which side of the fence you're on, most people just don't know how to deal with the current market conditions here in South Florida, and that is leading them to make some very, very big mistakes. Hey everybody, it's Robert. Welcome back to my channel, which is all about real estate and living here in South Florida. And it would mean a great deal to me if you would subscribe to the channel and tap the notifications and give me a like. It helps with the YouTube algorithm, helps the channel grow. I would very much appreciate it. And let's dive right into today's topic. Now, nationally, housing inventory is increasing, which means that more homes are coming to the market every single day, and home sales, not prices, but home sales are down about 38% nationally, and that is a big, big number. And if both of those things continue, we could be heading for a market crash. Now today in this video, we're going to be talking about the strange and unprecedented times we find ourselves in here in South Florida and our local market. And again, it's causing buyers and sellers to make some very, very big mistakes. So let's start with the sellers. And the biggest mistake sellers can make right now is still thinking this is early 2022 or 2021 and thinking that they hold all the cards. So the simple answer to that is they do not hold all the cards anymore, and they have to be flexible. Now, there are certain things or behaviors that sellers do, even in a normal market, but it's more amplified right now. Now, one of the things is thinking that they have the most unique or best house out of all the other ones that are for sale. So I've heard many, many different excuses or reasons. You can call it, say, my roof is a special type of roof and it has certain insulation under there that makes it unique, or we just remodeled, and when we remodeled, we replaced every single light switch and all the electrical wiring behind the walls is special. I've also heard where someone remodeled and took down a wall. They put extra beams and support and studs inside the walls that nobody sees, and they're thinking that this is going to justify it being the best house in the neighborhood. Now, another thing we're seeing right now, which is really hurting them, is making their properties hard to show. So going back to early, 2022, 2021, when we were at our craziest point after COVID, the way sellers showed houses totally changed. They weren't doing the normal appointments throughout the week. They were listing the home earlier in the week and having an open house on the weekend, so they were not showing it until the open house. And after the open house was done, they would have more than enough, over 20 in a lot of cases, offers where they would just shut it down and be able to pick an offer and they would be done with the process. And some sellers are still doing that. And it's not really working out for them as much as it did back then because there are less buyers out there. There are less sales happening, and it's really hurting some of the sellers. Now, all of this behavior leads to one result, and that's they have to reduce the price because they're starting out too high because they think they have the best home. They want to wait around and not show the house, and eventually we're seeing a bunch of price reductions in the market. So these are huge mistakes the sellers are still making, and they just have not realized that things have totally changed here in 2023. Now, what about on the buying side? So a lot of buyers out there think that the market is totally crashing around them, and it's really not. Now, as a result of this, one of the major mistakes we're seeing from buyers that we're communicating with is waiting for interest rates to drop is one of the main reasons why they're waiting. And the real problem with that strategy is no one knows how long that will take or how long it's going to be before rates go back down. Another reason why some buyers are waiting is they're waiting for the spring. Now, both of these strategies, in my opinion, are totally wrong because what is going to happen when interest rates go back down? So, first of all, they're not going to go back down to, say, between 2 and 4% like we did see after COVID. Those numbers were totally artificial. So waiting for that is just not going to happen. and also waiting till the spring. So if rates go down, and if you wait till the spring, what is going to happen? Well, all the buyers that are on the fence are going to come out of the woodwork, and the market is going to go right back to where we were, where it was a hyper competitive market, and it was almost impossible to win a bid on a home because you just had so much competition. And when that happens, prices go back up, and we find ourselves in this same downward spiral that we are in right now. So the question you have to ask yourself if you're a buyer, is it better off paying a very high, sometimes inflated price and getting a lower interest rate? So I'm not sure if you were one of the buyers out there that was trying to buy a home, and a lot of people that were trying in the last year or so, or the last couple of years actually, were not able to successfully find a home because the competition was so fierce. So even though the interest rates were very low, some buyers just could not get a home because they just got outbid throughout the entire process, and they're still on the fence waiting. So they understand what it's like. For a lot of buyers who haven't done that yet, and they're just coming to the point where they're thinking about purchasing, they don't really understand what it took to get a home, back right after COVID. And it was very competitive. You were paying way overpriced, so over list price, at least $50,000 over appraised value. So you were overpaying for the home, and your interest rate was a little bit lower. So are you better off doing that or buying a home now when interest rates might be a little bit higher, but you have a much better chance at first getting a home, and second, being able to negotiate and getting a lower price? That to me seems like a much better strategy, especially for the fact you're not going to have to come out of pocket with $50,000 cash money over appraised value. Another reason buyers should think about purchasing now is because you have a lot more negotiating leverage when it comes to putting in an offer. So you could actually get the seller to pay down or contribute to your closing costs and pay down your interest rate. You can do a 2-to-1 buy down or any variation of that, and you can actually get a very good rate. So if it's say 7, it'll be 5 for the first year, 6 for the second, and then you can think about refinancing at a later date, and you're still getting the home for a lower price than it would be if you had a very low interest rate. Now, another mistake buyers are making, and I'm seeing that a little bit more now, is getting interested and using adjustable rate mortgages. Now, this is something that we saw back in 2005, 6, 7. There were a ton of adjustable rate loans going around, and really contributed to the problem that we ran into when we had the last crash. Now, it's becoming more and more attractive right now because you get a much better initial rate when you do an adjustable rate mortgage. The problem is that most buyers do not understand exactly what is entailed and what the rules are and the parameters of an adjustable rate mortgage. So you need to be very careful. Now, there was a recent survey by Rocket Mortgage, and 40% of Americans said that they would get or use an adjustable rate mortgage right now in order to get a better rate on a loan. And that number was as high as 60% for first-time buyers. The problem with that is that over half of the people surveyed had no idea what an adjustable rate mortgage is. So here's the article by Rocket Mortgage. You can see here it says 40% of Americans say they would get an adjustable rate mortgage. Now, adjustable rate mortgages have gone up about 9%. So this was from September 2022. Made up around 9% of all new home loan applications to lenders, according to the Mortgage Bankers Association. It's not a high number, but it's higher than it has been, and it's becoming more and more popular right now with interest rates, climbing and being higher than they have been in the last several years. Now, I again don't like adjustable rate mortgages only unless you really know what they are. Now, I have 2 clients this year, 2022, that both use adjustable rate mortgages. Now, both of these gentlemen actually were, very savvy. They were both in the financial sector. One guy was a trader, and the other guy worked as a banker, so they both knew exactly what the adjustable rate mortgages were. They both had an exit strategy, so they knew it wasn't going to be long term. They knew exactly when they were going to get out of it. So they really knew that before that rate adjusted, there would be no question. The only thing I'm saying is be very, very careful with adjustable rate mortgages. It could be a great tool only if you know exactly what it is and you have an exit strategy. Make sure you know exactly what you're getting into and how to get out of it. All right, guys, we're going to wrap it up right there. Some of the common mistakes that buyers and sellers are making right now as we start off 2023. If you have any questions at all about South Florida, looking to buy or sell a house, I am a licensed realtor. I would love to be your real estate resource here in South Florida. All you have to do is reach out. I would be happy to talk to you, and I'll catch you on the next video. We'll see you soon.